All right, I thought today I would talk a little bit about meditation practice, and specifically, I thought it would be helpful for me, and maybe helpful for you to think about what we mean when we say a pointing out instruction or pith instruction, pith, pith instruction, like pithy, like the core, a kernel of an idea. And so this is all techniques and practices that come from Tibetan Buddhism, primarily schools of Buddhism that focus very much on sort of instantaneous realization. And so a pointing out instruction is something that is intended to provoke or facilitate a shift in perspective in the student, in the practitioner, so that this awareness of innate natural mind occurs spontaneously. And then the practice ensues to stabilize. Sorry, speaking of stabilization, the practice ensues to stabilize that experience. So it's a little bit different from the approach where practice is maybe a purification process or a process of gradual focusing and concentration, the culmination of which is this realization of the selfless nature of phenomena, the selfless nature of the self. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. The idea that meditation practice leads towards this realization and experience, as opposed to this other, and I'm using the shorthand of Tibetan Buddhist, but understand that that's a gross shortcut, but the idea that practice begins really only after you've had this realization of the nature of mind, that mind and the self are conditioned phenomena that arise based on precondition and ultimately disperse back to the underlying elements. And that within that are our emotions, our perceptions, our mental formations, all of the aggregates that we lump together as the self, but when scrutinized, that self does not hold together. That noise in the background is one of my dogs. They're right behind there. He likes to scratch the wood floor before he lies down. So he'll probably be doing that for another 90 seconds or so. It's quite loud. So these two approaches aren't, I don't think, mutually exclusive in any sense. And for myself, I find that I flip back and forward, which maybe is why I don't make stellar progress. But I feel attuned to both. I think it makes sense that there's Surya Das talks about schlepping up the mountain and then the lightning bolt swooping down, and I kind of feel like there's a intersection that is me, the individual, where, oh my goodness, hang on a second, hey. I'll leave that in just so you can see the, because the dogs are charming, and maybe one of them will show their head here. So a pointing out instruction is something that's intended to provoke that immediate realization, that understanding of the nature of mind. And my understanding of this, right, is that the initial perception of the self in that unconditioned state is at first very, very short. It's a glimpse. And the discipline of practice is to achieve these glimpses multiple times through the day, through the night, until eventually they become longer in duration, and more frequent in occurrence. Eventually they merge into one continuous, authentic, spontaneous view of the self and the unconditioned nature of the natural state. So a pointing out instruction is not something that we are intended to consider and change. And this is where have struggled in the past, and where I feel like I'm making some progress in my understanding. There's an image of the sun that I think of. At a certain time of the year here, the sky can occasionally be quite blue, and the sun can just sit in the middle of it. It's sort of like the late winter sun, and it's this extremely bright, pure light against this beautiful blue background. And we don't get many days like that here in Pittsburgh. So when it happens, it's very striking. And that to me is an image that reflects this spontaneous nature of mind. But it doesn't mean that I should sit and meditate and visualize myself as that, right? And try to change my... Sorry, I have to try to move the microphone a different place since I move my hands too much. Hang on. Hey! The goal is not to transform somehow my experience of myself into this ball of light in blue. It is to observe the phenomena of my conditioned self. And in that whole mix of experiences is something that looks like the unconditioned self as the sun in the sky. And I should pay attention to those parts. It is all there. The natural state, the defilements, the enlightened mind, the unenlightened mind is all present in the moment. What the teachings do for me is to make clear which parts of those are the parts to cultivate or the parts to pay attention to. It's like a coach or a trainer explaining how to do something physical. I don't do sports, but I work with a physical therapist to kind of keep things in order. And so out of the almost infinite possible alignments and movements of my body, there are some that are stable, stabilizing, strengthening. My physical therapist points out those postures and says, of the entire available flow of motion, this available flow of motion is one that will encourage, cultivate health and well-being. And so I think of the entire range of phenomena of the mind, and when a teacher says, pay attention to something that looks like the radiant sun in the sky, or something that is like the mist on the pond or the mist on the lake at dawn, present and then evaporates. These are images that we can find related resonance in our existing experience and cultivate those more frequently for a longer duration. That is my understanding of what a pith instruction is. And the pith instructions, the pointing out instructions, are always so simple that they can be passed over. But as we meditate more and scrutinize the experience more, our questions, my questions, change, and then these pith instructions answer those questions. But the questions only arise when the sitting has achieved a certain stability. And this is why I feel very much in the intersection of steady progress and immediate. My thinking for me, and I hope this is helpful for you, is that this immediate burst of insight, after which one cultivates ongoing stability and leading ultimately to the sort of bodhicitta, bodhisattva, authentic expression, occurs when there's a natural level of stability, and that natural level of stability is work and effort that needs to be put in, stabilize the body, stabilize the mind. But as I stabilize my mind, and then turn that stable attention to the nature of mind itself, then I start to have questions about, well, what's that? What's this? What's all of these thoughts and experiences that don't go away? They're just a different perspective. Of those sensations, which ones are coherent? And I find the pointing out instructions help make those things coherent. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Continuing to mix these videos up between sort of the music and meditation, a bit more composition lately than usual. Let me know if that's vibing with you. If it's not, I'm sorry, I'm probably still going to keep doing it. But these meditation journals or realizations are very helpful for me, and I really do appreciate when I hear back from those of you who have listened through and have suggestions, criticisms, comments. Please do share those in the comments below. And in the meantime, keep your wits about you. The hat is from the Thirsty Whale. It's a bar in Bar Harbor in Acadia, Maine.